What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Flames back at it again. Another Bible reading video. And today, man, um, we're about to be reading out of Second Kings, chapters 3 and 4. Um, without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, chapter 3. Moab rebels against Israel. In the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Jehoram the son of Ahab became king over Israel and Samaria, and he reigned 12 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, though not like his father and mother, for he put away the pillar of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless, he clung to the sin of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin, but he did not depart. He did not depart from it. Now Mesha king of Moab was a sheep breeder, and he had to deliver to the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and the wool of 100,000 rams. But when Ahab died, the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. So he had to deal with Ahab. And then when Ahab died, he's like, I'm not doing this. This deal is not happening no more. You're gonna have to get it. You're not getting this from me. Um. So King Jeroboam marched out of Samaria at that time and mustered all Israel, and he went and sent word to Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, King of Moab has rebelled against me. Will you go with me to battle against Moab? And he said, I will go. I am as you are, my people as your people, my horses as your horses. Then he said, by which way shall we march? Jeroboam answered, by the way of the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel went with the king of Judah and the king of Edom. When they had made a circuitous march of 7 days, there was no water for the army or for the animals that followed them. Then the king of Israel said, alas, the Lord has called these 3 kings to give them into the hand of Moab. And Jehoshaphat said, is there no prophet of the Lord here, though whom we may inquire of the Lord? Then one of the kings of Israel's servants answered, Elisha the son of Shaphat is here, who poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat said, the word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. And Elisha said to the king of Israel, what have I to do with you? Go to the prophets of your father and to the prophets of your mother. But the king of Israel said to him, no, it is the Lord who has called these 3 kings to give them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, as the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, were it not that I have regard for Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, I would neither look at you nor see you. But now bring me a musician. And when the musician played, the hand of the Lord came upon him. And he said, thus says the Lord, I will make this dry steam bed full of pools. For thus says the Lord, you shall not see wind or rain, but that steam bed shall be filled with water, so that you shall drink, you, your livestock, and your animals. This is a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will also give the Moabites into your hand, and you shall attack every fortified city and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop up all the springs of water, and ruin every good piece of land with stones. The next morning, about the time of offering the sacrifice, behold, water came from the direction of Edom, till the country was filled with water. When all the Moabites heard that the kings had come up to fight against them, all who were able to put on armor, from the youngest to the oldest, were called out and were drawn up at the border. And when they rose early in the morning and the sun shone on the water, the Moabites saw the water opposite them as red as blood, and they said, this is blood. The kings have surely fought together and struck one another down. Now then, Moab, to the spoil. But when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites arose and struck the Moabites, till they fled before them. And they went forward, striking the Moabites as they went. And they overthrew the cities, and on every good piece of land every man threw a stone until it was covered. They stopped every spring of water, and felled all the good trees. So they destroyed the whole land as they came through. Till only its stones were left in Hareseth, and the slingers surrounded and attacked it. When the king of Moab saw that the battle was going against him, he took with him 700 swordsmen to break through opposite the king of Edom, but they could not. Then he took his oldest son, who was to reign in place, and offered him for a burnt offering on the wall. And there came a great wrath against Israel, and they withdrew from them and returned to their own land. So he offered up his own son as a burnt offering, which is crazy. And a great wrath. So I don't know exactly what this means by there was a great wrath against Israel. But he made some sort of crazy sacrifice where he sacrificed his own son. I don't know if this is the exact passage I learned about or not, but I did watch something one time about someone explaining. I don't know if this has happened in the Bible another time, but I'm pretty sure this is the story. And it's not that the Israelites were defeated after this; it was that they were so like almost appalled of this dude sacrificing his son that they just like are like, "You got it," kind of just went away. Um, I'm not completely sure if this is the same context, but I know somewhere in Kings, if this is the only time that this happens, then I think that's the correct context to this, but I'm not 100% sure. So please take that with that bear in mind. Um, but yeah, that's the end of chapter 3. Now we're on to chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4, Elisha and the widow's oil, which is kind of interesting because yeah, that's crazy, man. He offered his oldest son as a burnt offering. Yeah, crazy stuff. Okay, now the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, but the creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves." And Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what have, what have you in the house?" And she said, "Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go outside, borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels and not too few. Then go in and shut the door behind yourself and your sons, and pour into all these vessels. And when one is full, set it aside." So she went from him and shut the door behind herself and her sons, and she poured. And they brought the vessels to her. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." And he said to her, "There was not another." Then the oil stopped flowing. She came and told the man of God, and he said, "Go, sell your oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on the rest." So this was Elijah's son, Elisha, performing a miracle for this lady and her son, or the Lord using him to perform a miracle. Elisha and the Shunammite woman. One day Elisha went on to Shunem, where a wealthy woman lived, who urged him to eat some food. So whenever he passed that way, he would turn in there and eat food. And she said to her husband, "Behold, now I know this is a holy man of God who is continually passing our way. Let us make a small room on the roof with walls, and put there for him a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp, so that whenever he comes to us, he can go in there." One day he came there, and he turned into the chamber and rested there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, "Call this Shunammite." When he had called her, she stood before him, and he said to him, "Say now to her, see, you have taken all this trouble for us. What is to be done for you? Would you have a word spoken on your behalf to the king, or to a commander of the army?" She answered, "I dwell among my own people." And he said, "What then is to be done for her?" Gehazi answered, "Well, she has no son, and her husband is old." He said, "Call her." When he had called her, she stood in the doorway, and he said, "At this season, about this time next year, you shall embrace a son." And she said, "No, my lord, O man of God, do not lie to your servant." But the woman conceived, and she bore a son about that time the following spring, as Elisha had said to her. Elisha raises the Shunammite's son. When the child had grown, he went out one day to his father among the reapers, and he said to his father, "Oh my head, my head." The father said to his servant, "Carry him to his mother." And when he had lifted him and brought him to his mother, the child sat in her lap till noon, and then he died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door behind him and went out. Then she called to her husband and said, "Send me one of the servants and one of the donkeys, that I may quickly go to the man of God and come back again." And he said, Why will you go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath." She said, "All is well." And she saddled on the donkey, and she said to her servant, "Urge the animal on. Do not slacken the pace for me unless I tell you." So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When the man of God saw her coming, he said to Gehazi his servant, "Look, there is the Shunammite. Run at once to meet her and say to her, Is all well with you? Is all well with your husband? Is all well with the child?" And she answered, "All is well." And when she came to the mountain of the man of God, she caught hold of his feet, and Gehazi came to push her away. But the man of God said, "Leave her alone, for she is in bitter distress, and the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me." Then she said, "Did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, 'Do not deceive me'?" He said to Gehazi, "Tie up your garment and take my staff in your hand and go. If you meet anyone, do not greet him, and if anyone greets you, do not reply. And lay my staff on the face of the child." Then the mother of the child said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So he arose and followed her. Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the face of the child, but there was no sound or sign of life. Therefore he returned to meet him and told him, "The child is not awakened." When Elisha came to the house, he saw the child lying dead on his bed. So he went in and shut the door behind the two of them and prayed to the Lord. Then he went up and lay on the child, putting his mouth on his mouth, his eyes on his eyes, and hands on his hands, and he stretched himself upon him. The flesh of the child became warm. Then he got up again and walked once back and forth in the house, and went up and stretched himself upon him. The child sneezed 7 times, and then the child opened his eyes. Then he summoned Gehazi and said, "Call this Shunammite." So he called him. When she came up to him, she said, "Pick up your son." He said, "Pick up your son." She came and fell at his feet, bowing to the ground, and she picked up her son and went out. Elisha purifies the deadly stew. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, where there was a famine in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. He said to his servant, "Set on a large pot, and boil stew for the sons of the prophets." One of them went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine and gathered from it his lap full of wild boars, and he came and cut them up into the pot of stew, not knowing what they were. And they poured out some for the men to eat. But while they were eating of the stew, they cried out, "O man of God, there is death in the pot," and they could not eat it. And he said, "Then bring flour." And he threw it into the pot and said, "Pour some out for the men, that they may eat." And there was no harm in the pot. A man came from Balasha, bringing the man of God bread of the firstfruits, 20 loaves of barley and fresh ears of grain in a sack. And Elisha said, "Give to the men that they may eat." But his servant said, "How can I set this before 100 men?" So he repeated, "Give them to the men that they may eat, for thus says the Lord, they shall eat and have some left." So he set it before them, and they ate and had some left, according to the word of the Lord. Okay. That is it for these 2 chapters. I really, really appreciate y'all for watching. I love y'all so much. God bless you guys. Thank you all for watching these videos. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow. I love y'all. And yeah, peace.